call the Grimes City Council meeting on March 10th, 2026 to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And can I have roll call, please?
Phillips, here. Earlbeck, here. Johansson, Lovelady,
Here.
Forkerty.
Here.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Phillips, aye. Forkerty,
Aye.
Lovelady,
Aye.
aye.
All right, that passes. That brings us to public forum. Is anybody signed up to speak at public forum?
Yes, we have two people. First is Brian Hansen.
Okay, Brian, go ahead and step on up.
Going to do that. My name is Brian Hansen. I live at 109 Northwest the Court here in Grimes. First of all, I'd like to commend the City Council for your masterful execution of this plan to put this building in the park. Hats off to you. Also to the City Attorney for advising you on the most minimum transparency to keep this legal. Looking into the future, I'm sure this what you have done, how long this will be the best choice. We all know the city will keep growing. As we grow, will there be more need for administrative services? That means more employees, more city vehicles, etc. As needs grow, with this plan need to be revised? Or will the little green space that you have given us left that happens, will that be taken? What happens when the splash pad visitor cars take up what you perceive as your parking around your new building? I know it's impossible to know the future. Isn't that your job, to make the difficult decisions and look into the future the best you can and plan accordingly? I can only speculate that the council spent hours debating with an open mind whether or not this was the best option for the community. From 2010 to 2020, the city grew by about 80%. It appears that in this decade, the estimates will be about 20% or more. That would put us close to 20,000 people. Around 100 years ago, the city founders put this park in place because they understood the importance of parkland and looked to the future. I am pretty sure they didn't put it here so you could take it away. I assume that not so many years from now, we will double in population what we have now. Do you have a plan to make it easier for future Grimes? Or is it, well, that's going to be their problem? Does this plan have room for enough growth? Or are we spending $11 million on a short-term problem? We're all aware that this is not the best choice, but you arranged it to be. When I read the interviews in the media, I'm confused how the decision is defended. You say you're only taking 20 to 25% of the park. That might be the building itself. Add in the parking lot, the retention pond, and you are probably leaving about 20% of what is left. You indicate the present city hall will have to be torn down soon to make way for the 44 expansion. Yet somebody in your PR office puts a comment out on social media that 44 project is still years away. We have all heard the saying, you can't fight City Hall, and we are well aware of that. I hope by our actions and voices in the past few months, we have changed how the council does business going forward. If nothing else, I hope we have made the residents aware that you can't always be trusted. I will eventually come to terms with this choice. I truly believe that this was an emotional decision and not the best for the city going forward. I have lived here for 40 years and I love this city. I truly believe this is not our best foot forward to showcase Grimes. I hope this decision works out for you. Interesting story. If you Google, can a city in Iowa put an administration building in a park, you get this response. Yes, a city in Iowa can place an administration building in a park as demonstrated by the city of Grimes. Congratulations, you are an example on the internet. We are so proud. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Brian. And I do want you to know, and we're always looking for room for improvement, and you know, I hope citizens see that. I think we're trying to do some things and make some adjustments. Um, maybe you disagree, maybe others disagree, but I genuinely believe that, and I hope citizens do see that and that we're trying. So, but thank you. Next person.
Kristen Hansen.
My name is Kristen Hansen. Before I start, I want to make something very clear. I'm not here opposing government facilities. This isn't about whether you should get a building. This is about something much bigger. This is about whether the rules that apply to the citizens of the city also apply to the people sitting before us. Because when the public follows a process, we are told it is mandatory, but when the city bypasses the same process, suddenly it becomes flexible. Tonight, I want to talk about Waterworks Park and what this decision says about transparency, accountability, and the obligation of government to follow the same rules it enforces on everyone else. When you step back and you look at the record over the last several years, this is not just one confusing meeting or one unclear agenda. This is a pattern of major project developments occurring while public agendas are vaguely labeled strategic planning, facilities update, informational. So let's walk through your timeline that you guys put on your own webpage. This building was discussed October 18th through the 20th of 2022 in your strategic planning sessions. Looking at the agendas, they simply say strategic planning, no mention of Waterworks Park, no mention of public administration building. October 2023, again, no mention of Waterworks Park or selecting a site for government buildings. May 14th, 2024, the council workshop labeled facilities update. Again, no mention of Waterworks, no mention of converting parkland. Then on July 23rd of 2024, the city hires OPN architects to design the public administration building. Architects are not hired for projects that don't exist. They are not hired before planning begins. They are certainly not hired before someone has started determining where that building will go. Then we reach October 24. This is when the site was determined per this council's direction, ignoring the recommendations that Waterworks wasn't even the most logical and or preferred site. Again, those meetings simply say strategic planning workshop, no mention of Waterworks Park, no mention of parkland might be converted, no public notice. You guys talk about transparency. Where was the transparency then? That information all comes from your own words from the April 8th, 2025 presentation about this building. During the presentation, the city acknowledges the architects had already been hired in July of 24. The project team had already been assembled early 24, and the site direction had already been determined. Yet again, the agenda for that meeting describes the entire presentation as informational with no vote, no decision point for the public. The public was left in the dark about this entire project until December 17th of 2025. You were discussing this project as early as 2022. By 24, you were already making major decisions that would impact this community, yet the public wasn't informed until December of 25. Why? Because you knew the public would strongly oppose putting a government building in one of the oldest and most established parks in the city. When residents look at this timeline, they see something very troubling. The architects were hired, the site direction determined, and then public was informed. That means the location of this building was decided more than a year before the public was told. And when you look at those dates together, it raises a very simple question. When exactly was the public supposed to have a meaningful opportunity to weigh in? Because the way this timeline unfolds, it appears the planning and decisions all happened first, and the public was informed last. The most infuriating part isn't even the building. It's the message that the public process doesn't matter. Iowa Code, Chapter 21, the Open Iowa Meeting Law. Government bodies are required to provide meaningful notice of the issues being discussed. The purpose of that law is simple. The public is supposed to know when decisions are being discussed, not find out about them after those decisions have already been made. What occurred with Waterworks Park was an abuse of authority and has citizens questioning whether the city applies the laws evenly. Under Iowa Code 414, cities must follow established zoning procedures when changing land use. Those procedures exist for a reason. They ensure that major land use decisions are reviewed publicly, evaluated by planning professionals, and considered against the city's adopted plans. But that process appears to have been bypassed. Waterworks Park is designated parks and recreation land in the city's comprehensive plan and the Parks and Trails Master Plan. That designation carries meaning. It identifies land that is intended for recreation,
Christina,
and public use, not for government administrative buildings.
Christina,
Changing Yes.
We're approaching, we're actually past 3 minutes, and I'm not gonna literally cut you off, but a lot of what you're saying, you've said a couple times already in meetings, and so I didn't know if
Well, here,
there's
I'll get to the point then.
Okay, thank you.
Waterworks Park was never vacant land waiting for an office building. It was not designated parkland that existed. The designation existed for a reason. It was not supposed to change just because the city decided it was convenient. If I tried to change the use of my property without following those procedures, I'd be shut down immediately. So would any developer, so would anyone in the city. Every citizen in the city knows that if we want to change how our property is used, we go through hearings, we file applications, and we notify neighbors, and we stand before boards. We are scrutinized. You are entrusted with power to enforce ordinances, uphold the comprehensive plan, and protect designated public land. That authority carries an obligation. You must follow the same rules you impose on everyone else. When government enforces laws aggressively downward but applies them loosely upward, citizens begin to question everything. The trust is broken. Government authority is not a license to self-exempt. Public trust does not erode because people ask questions. It erodes when officials appear to shield their own actions from the very scrutiny they impose on others. You don't get to demand compliance from the public while stepping around it yourself. That's not how trust works. And the people of the city deserve better than a government that appears to operate above its own rules. You cannot demand strict compliance from residents and then quietly exempt yourself when it's convenient, treating your own ordinances like suggestions. That's not leadership, that's arrogance. The most infuriating part is the message you sent, the message that decisions were made before the public ever had a meaningful chance to weigh in, the message that timelines don't have to match agendas, and that the process is flexible when it's inconvenient. The message that power shields you from the very rules you impose. The public deserves to be fully informed about what happened here, and they will be. The residents of the city will know how this decision was made, and they will know what procedures were followed and what procedures were not. They will know whether the comprehensive plan was ignored or stepped aside. They will know whether the same standards apply to the government that apply to them. Government accountability depends on one very simple principle. The rules apply to everybody, not just the people without power. The public does not forget when procedures that apply to them suddenly stop applying to the government, and when the same people that write the rules don't have to follow them. That's not governance, that's not accountability, that's not equal treatment under the law, that's privilege. And it's not the kind of leadership the public expects from the people entrusted to govern this city. Transparency does not end when a vote is cast, it begins there. And ultimately, accountability in this country does not come from speeches or statements, it comes from voters. When the body that writes the rules decides it does not have to follow them, that's an ethical problem. Ethics in public service means you holding yourself to the highest standard, not the lowest one you can justify. If the people of the city decide that this conduct reflects the kind of leadership they want, that's their choice. But if they decide they want officials who follow the rules they enforce, officials who apply ordinances evenly and respect public process, then elections provide that remedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anybody else signed up for public forum?
No, sir, that's everyone.
Okay. I just want to say that I take issue with some of the comments, and we can agree to disagree, but we have followed the procedures. We have done the things that we were supposed to do. I think, sometimes there's a push-pull, because sometimes, if a city tries to get too nitty-gritty with details, and then you leave out a detail, whether how minute, then we could be up for litigation. And so there are rules, there are things that states and boards and bodies prescribe of how things should be done. We were following those processes. We have followed those processes, and we will continue to follow those processes. And so saying that we've done otherwise, I just want to say I strongly disagree with that. And I don't want to belabor this, but I just want to make that point. With that, we'll move on to closing the public forum and moving on to approval of the consent agenda.
To approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Earlbeck.
Aye.
DePhillips. Aye. Borkerding.
Aye.
Lovelady.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes. That brings us to the action items for tonight. Number one, a public hearing on proposal to enter into essential purpose loan agreement. And that's for Resolution 03-1826, taking additional action on the proposed. And if you can hear that in the background, that would be my family. That's sorry. So, essential purpose loan agreement, combining loan agreements and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. So I believe Marcia.
Yes, thank you. This public hearing begins the process of our annual GO bond issuance. The city undertakes at this time each year to fund the following year's CIP projects. The combined not to exceed amount for this bond is $14,750,000, with the essential purpose portion being $8,750,000 and the remaining $6 million coming from our prior approved urban renewal loan agreement for the city administration building project. The council did hold a public hearing for the urban renewal admin building project in May of 24 and included $2 million of the funding for the project in the 2025 bond issuance. As with the public safety building, staff are hopeful we realize cost savings and not over borrow on this project, and thus we borrowed in multi-years. It worked well in the public safety building, and actually we were able to see some reductions, which was great. The other projects being funded with this borrowing include park and trail improvements for Lions Park, Glenstone, Breton Slough, roadway rehab on 3 different streets that we've done some underground work on prior, and now we're coming back. Sidewalk ADA transition plan for improvements on those, James Street, annual HMA overlay projects, Southeast 37th Street widening, design work on Highway 44 Street improvements, technology and fiber network upgrades, and outdoor warning sirens. As in prior years, we have incorporated the fiscal year 27 principal and interest payments into our budget. The included pre-levy resolution, which is part of this, provides for the collection of property taxes in the next fiscal year to make these payments. We'll have more items upcoming in the next meetings as we issue the official statement and sell and issue the bonds. Take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on this resolution. Does anybody wish to speak on this specific item? It doesn't look like it. Any written communication on this?
Nope.
Okay, I will close the public hearing at this time. Council, any discussion?
None from me.
Okay. Any action?
I will move resolution 03-1826, taking additional action on proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement, combining loan agreements and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Phillips.
Aye.
Fogarty.
Aye.
Earlbeck.
Aye.
Lovelady.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thank you for that. A lot of good things in there that you mentioned, Marcia. So trying to take on projects and get things done, and appreciate that. That brings us to item 2, second consideration of ordinance 810, establishing standards for small wireless facilities. Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kevin Hensley, Public Works Director. So a little bit of background before we jump into this. This is the second reading. Last time, a little bit of history. Last time I did not have the background up, but here we go. This establishes a new chapter or new title in the Grimes Code of Ordinances. Basically, this ensures compliance with the Iowa Cell Siting Act and creates a clear framework for the city and contractors to place small cell service within the right of way of the city of Grimes. Happy to take any questions.
No changes from the first time.
No changes. This is really, we've borrowed ordinance from adjacent communities.
Are you looking for us to get final passage done?
It'd be nice, yes.
Yeah, and last time, if I remember correctly, with the way the state laws and whatnot work, we have to allow this. This is just kind of writing things so that when it does happen, it happens, on our terms as much as we're able to accomplish. Is that basically correct, Kevin?
That is correct, Mayor.
Yeah.
If no other discussion, I'll move the second consideration of ordinance 810.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Workerding,
Aye.
Earlbeck, aye. Lovelady,
Aye.
DePhillips, aye.
Okay, that passes.
I'll move that we waive the third reading of ordinance 810.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Workerding,
Aye.
Earlbeck, aye. DePhillips,
Aye.
Lovelady,
Aye.
That passes. And you want to finish it off, Mr. Borkerdine?
I'll move final passage of ordinance 810.
Okay, a motion and a second. Roll call.
Workerding,
Aye.
Earlbeck, aye. DePhillips,
Aye.
Lovelady,
Aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you, Kevin. That brings us to item 3, third reading of ordinance 809, Brookside Village North Rezone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you indicated, this is the third and final consideration of ordinance 809, which is the Brookside Village rezone. We're located north of Beaverbrook Boulevard and east of Highway 141, south of Northeast 18th Street. It's currently zoned C2, and the proposed zoning is R4 PUD. The land use, as we've indicated in the previous considerations, is consistent with both the previous plan that we were initially reviewing this prior to the comp plan adoption, but also with the comp plan that was previously approved by you folks in December. This just gives you an indication of the concept. Again, there's some commercial property retained by a different property owner to the south, medium density on the east side of Northeast Destination Drive, and then higher density on the west side in between 141 and Northeast Destination Drive. We show some private detention throughout the site, sidewalks as required by the subdivision ordinance, and then obviously the extension of Northeast Destination Drive, which you all will discuss later in more detail. Landscape buffers, we've provided them in a number of different locations along the property, largely based on how units orient towards the public streets. So we have different buffer quantities and buffer requirements for those particular units. Parkland, our future land use plan does not identify any park, public park in this area. So the nearest park is North Point Park. With this rezone and concept, and will be future site plans, there will be trail and sidewalk along Destination Drive. Trail is existing along Northeast 18th Street. So we've done some analysis and have found that the properties are all within a quarter mile to a half mile walking distance of North Point Park. Because there's no parkland, what we typically do in this situation, we'll do a fee in lieu. So we calculate what the park land dedication would be required in terms of acreage. The city has a policy that's imposes a dollar amount per acre that gets applied, and then those funds are then directed and earmarked for improvements within North Point Park. So at a future date, we will begin some contemplation about what future improvements go into that park. There'll be potentially some neighborhood engagement and that kind of process to go through, but we'll keep the council apprised of that as we navigate along that process. The Park and Rec Advisory Board did recommend approval for the fee in lieu as an alternative to the land dedication. Northeast Destination Drive improvements. The area shown here in red were the previous Beaverbrook Boulevard roundabout and access point onto Highway 141. If you recall, we did do a traffic impact study with Snyder and Associates when this development came. We wanted to evaluate the impact to Highway 141, existing Beaverbrook Boulevard, as well as Northeast 18th Street. Prior to that traffic impact study, we did a Highway 141 corridor study with the DOT, Polk County, City of Johnston, and it did recommend removal of the Northeast 18th Street access point. There have been a number of fatalities in the very recent time. So this particular project affords the ability to make that connection from 18th to the roundabout, which then connects to the signalized intersection, thus allowing Northeast 18th to be removed. And we will work through the appropriate process to dispose of that right of way back to the property owner, which it was originally dedicated from. With that, there's been no other changes to the rezone from consideration 1 and 2. We'd recommend approval of the third and final consideration.
All right, thank you, Alex. And just to point out, you or reiterate, I suppose, the Citizen Board Park, right? They reviewed that and approved that. This also went before Planning and Zoning, another citizen board. So lots of people other than us touch these things, right? Anything that came out of Planning and Zoning?
No, planning and zoning did not have any comments for city council prior to the public hearing. So,
All right, thank you. Council, any questions or actions?
Motion to approve third reading of the ordinance 809.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Earlbeck,
Aye.
Borkerty,
Aye.
Lovelady,
Aye.
DePhillips,
Aye.
Okay, that passes. And then can we have a motion for final passage on that?
I'll make a motion for final passage of the third reading of ordinance 809.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll give that one to Jared.
Let him have a win.
Yep. Yeah, we gotta give everybody a win. So, so any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Earlbeck,
Aye.
Lovelady.
Aye.
Borkerty,
Aye.
DePhillips,
Aye.
All right, and that passes. Thank you very much. That brings us to item number 4, public hearing on proposed amendment to the Grimes Urban Renewal Area. And this is about resolution 031926 to approve urban renewal plan amendment for the Grimes Urban Renewal Area. And I can't see who it is, but whoever, go for it.
I don't know where to look. Katie Lord, Economic Development Director, here to give a brief update on this item as well as action item number 5. They're tied together, so I'll just give a quick overview and then we could move to the resolutions and public hearings. Additionally, I do have Clint Ackerman, who is the developer, attending via Zoom. He's out of state and so is able to provide some additional comments and is here to answer any questions you may have as well. So we'll jump into the urban renewal plan amendment first. Anytime the city is considering using urban renewal or TIF to support economic development or public projects, we have to amend our urban renewal plan to include that project specifically. So that is the first item up this evening, and this is associated with the next item, the development agreement, Brookside North LLC. So as part of this process, we do notify taxing jurisdictions of our intent to use tax increment financing. And we do hold a TIF consultation meeting. So those folks are welcome to attend a meeting and to ask questions. And that was held a couple of weeks ago. So just wanted to touch on that, that process that we do hold. So I'll jump into the project and I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along. So you just heard a great update from Alex on what this project is associated with, but I'm here specifically to talk about the road. So like Alex mentioned, the DOT determined that the intersection at 141 and Northeast 18th needs to close because of safety reasons. In order to do that, they have offered the city a $500,000 grant to proactively close that intersection. They recognize that there's a value into ensuring that this intersection is closed. There's an alternative for the traffic coming from the east to head south on destination and to get out to Highway 141 safely. So in order to make that happen, we have worked with the developer of this proposed project to come to terms in a development agreement to use TIF to also support this project. In exchange for those public improvements. So the project itself would be extending Northeast Destination Drive from Beaverbrook up to 18th, and that would occur by the end of 2026. So this is done by way of a TIF rebate agreement. And because the DOT provided a $500,000 grant to the city, that does require that the city design, bid, and construct the road. So those first 2 items have been done. And then later this evening, you'll consider the contract for constructing the road. How it would work with the developer is that the city would construct the road. After construction is done at the end of this year, we would invoice the developer for that cost of road construction. And then as the developer builds out his project, he would receive a TIF rebate up to 80% up to 7 years, not to exceed that cost of road construction, which we've estimated to be around 1.8. And we do think that bids have come in favorably. So we do expect that to be even a little bit more, or a little bit less, excuse me, than 1.8. As we're all aware, this is a residential project. And so when you use TIF adjacent to residential, that does require some affordability requirements that comes with that. So what that means for this project is that 75% of these units will be required to be offered at affordability for folks in Polk County at 80% area median income. And so the product that's being built here today is actually very similar to the product that this developer has built in our community already. And the rental rates that they're offering are consistent with what we have in Grimes today, but it does technically qualify as affordable and allows us to use TIF to impact this area with this road connection. There's a number of public benefits in using TIF for this project. I think namely it's that we have a chance to upfront impact permanently safety and access at this unsafe intersection. We know that the DOT will close this intersection without hesitation if there's another accident. So we're in a great position to help improve safety here, prevent further fatalities or accidents from occurring. Additionally, we do, with this connection, want to take into account the adjacent neighborhood to the east. We want to make sure that there's some concern for traffic coming through on Beaverbrook. That is a residential road. And we know that by connecting destination and giving folks another way to move throughout the community, we are helping to protect the integrity of this neighborhood. Additionally, this does provide another north-south connection point throughout Grimes, which we have been trying to do for years, whether it's this road in particular on the east side or on the west side with Gateway. So this helps continue on that north-south connectivity. A couple other key points. By way of using TIF to support this road project, the developer is taking the cost of the road and taking that onto themselves. And so this preserves our city's CIP budget for other high priority projects we have in the community, of which we know there are many. And lastly, by using TIF, we're preserving our existing tax base. So this doesn't cost anything to the taxpayers in Grimes today. We're only seeking to grow our tax base by leveraging this $25 million investment. And additionally, by structuring it at an 80% rebate, all taxing jurisdictions benefit in year one by seeing new tax revenue. So I think that's important to note for all folks that are impacted by use of TIF in this situation, including the city. We will have a benefit from year one. So there's a lot of positive things associated with this project. Those were my comments. We do have Clint Ackerman on the line. Clint, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay.
Give any
All right. My name is Clint Ackerman, owner of Signature Companies, all affiliates. I appreciate you allow me to connect in with Zoom as I am stuck in Arizona tonight. But anyway, first of all, I wanted to thank everyone for considering this type of cooperation between the City of Grimes and our private development company. We're excited to be a part of the Grimes development community, and thus we have invested substantially in Grimes, like our Brookside apartment development and the Brookside commercial development, where we are currently constructing our new office and setting our roots in the community for the greater Des Moines area. When it comes to this specific project, we're always willing to assist communities and take on some burdens to make sure the community and the developments we are involved in consider the safety aspects, infrastructure, and also to ensure that we don't lose out on any state funds that are set aside to benefit traffic flow and safety for the community. It's been a pleasure to work with the Grimes community staff, and we look forward to continuing relationships we have built with the Grimes community. We thank you for considering this project and hope you approve of moving this project forward. Also, just wanted to note that Grimes does have a remarkable staff. They really work hard at working with developers and figuring out ways to make sure that we can continue with projects and make projects move forward. So hats off to the Grimes staff. Anyway, thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer some.
All right. Thank you, Clint. Thank you, Katie. So right now I'd like to open the public hearing on resolution 03-1926. Would anybody like to address council on this specific resolution? All right. Does not appear so. Any written communication?
No, sir.
Okay. Then at this time, I'll close the public hearing. Council, before turn it over to you for some discussion or questions, I just want to point out, with this TIF, I really am pleased with how the city continues to move in this direction. We're not just giving handouts for the sake of handouts. There's always kind of a trade or a value, if you will. Like with Hy-Vee, it was a similar thing. We got the road, got the full road built out wider. It worked good for the private group. It worked good for the city. We were able to do more things by partnering than we either of us could have done on our own. And this is very much kind of that same kind of flavor as you hinted at, Katie. And so I can get behind that kind of TIF, and I believe citizens kind of can see the value of that. We're getting things for the citizens out of this, and it's not just giving money for the sake of giving money. So, both that, council, any questions, discussion, or action?
I would just echo your thoughts, David. I love to see the public-private partnerships and just the innovation and the thoughtfulness that went into how can we solve multiple pieces of our vision and navigating the connectivity in the community, as well as preventing other future safety concerns, but doing it proactively while partnering with the development. I think it's really great to see the city and others like work together in such a collaborative way. And I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I just want to say great job, staff, on, I know this was quite a bit of effort on your part to have many conversations with other city staff, people on council. This is obviously not the first time that we're hearing it, and we've had plenty of conversations kind of leading up to this point. Typically, we probably wouldn't use TIF for a project like this, but I think since we do have DOT funds on the table, we are improving the safety at the intersection, allowing some more access for the residents. I think it makes good sense. So again, appreciate all the effort on that. If no other comments, I'll go ahead and move resolution 03-1926.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Borkerding,
Aye.
DePhillips,
Aye.
Earlbeck, aye, Lovelady,
Aye.
All right, and that passes. Before I open the next public hearing, it's essentially the same thing you discussed, Katie. Anything else you'd like to add, or do you think we're good to go with this item?
I think we're good to go.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing for resolution 03-2026, approving development agreement with Brookside North LLC, authorizing annual appropriation tax increment payments and pledging certain tax increment revenues to the payment of the agreement. Does anybody wish to address council on this specific item? All right, does not seem so. Any written communication?
nope,
Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing. And council, any discussion or action on this item?
Motion to approve resolution 03-2026.
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Earlbeck,
Aye.
DePhillips,
Aye.
Lovelady,
Aye.
Borkerding.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That passes. That brings us to item 6, award and authorizing construction contract and bonds for the Northeast Destination Drive Extension Phase 2.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm here to kind of lead this item. We did have discussion at this one at the last meeting. We did the public hearing on the plan specs, former contract and estimate, and we also adopted that same stuff at the last meeting, and then we held off for all the items that we just did to have this one awarded and the contracts and bonds approved at this meeting. As a reminder, a lot of people have already talked about this. It's the connection, the north connection there, kind of in purple color on this map. Sternquist Construction was a low bidder. They have the south one that we've already bid and awarded. And so it kind of works out well that they've got both of those. And the bids did come in about $200,000 under the estimate. So that's about all I got on this one, unless people have any more questions on it.
All right, thank you, Matt. Council, any questions? And if not, if you want to seek action on passing both together, that'd be fantastic.
Since Eric's not here, I'll say what he normally says. We love when the big ones are more.
Yes, we do.
I'll bundle these. I'll go ahead and move resolution 03-2126 and resolution 03-2226.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Forkerty.
Aye.
Earlbeck. Aye. DePhillips.
Aye.
Lovelady.
Aye.
All right, and that passes. Thank you. That brings us to item 7, award and authorizing construction contract and bonds for the Southwest 19th Street and Southwest Jazzwood Drive overlay.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a similar situation. We did the public hearing and the adopting resolutions at the last meeting. This project was bid and we ended up quite a bit under, about 400,000 under the estimate on this one, and Des Moines Asphalt and Paving was the low bidder. We did have some coordination items that we needed to do with this one because we share the border with Urbandale on Southwest 19th Street. So they are obligated to help pay for 50% of that for a 2080 agreement that we approved previously. I think this the end of last year with them on that project and the other project that they're leading, and we're leading this one. They did do that. So they've concurred with the award, and everything should be set as far as that goes. That's all I got on this one. It's the same, authorizing the contract of bonds and awarding the contract.
All right, thank you, Matt. Council, any discussion, comments, or action?
No discussion. I'll move resolution 03-2326 and resolution 03-2426.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll just make one quick comment. It's nice, you are right, it is nice when we come under, but just so people know, our engineering department is not trying to just pad the stats. There was a time where we were getting things consistently 20, 30, 40% over. And so these things ebb and flow, but we'll take the wins when we can get them. So, but with that, roll call, please.
Forkerty.
Aye.
Earlbeck. Aye. Lovelady.
Aye.
DePhillips.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes. That brings us to item 8, staff reports.
Mr. Mayor, I've just got 2 items for you tonight. One, the special census has completed their field work and will be vacating the old library. And the contractors for the admin building will be mobilizing to the site probably by the end of the week. So look for that.
Okay. Anything else then?
That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Mayor and City Council reports. The only thing I have is I'm just working on discussions with staff about trying to plug in what I feel like are maybe some needed workshops and contemplations that we should have. And so hopefully we can get some more details on when those will be scheduled and kind of map that out for the calendar year. Just want to get people advance notice, but just also wanted to let you know we're trying to pin that down. Council, any other reports?
Nothing for me.
Nope.
Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move adjourn.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, that passes. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.